Tonight on Cronkite News, we follow the Diamondbacks and their road to the playoffs.
Plus, with Arizona Cardinals football back and rolling, you don't want to miss the fun experience you, your family, and friends can enjoy before the game begins.
And a closer look at a proposition on the November ballot that will put police on the front lines of immigration enforcement. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm DeAndre Sanders.
And I'm Kayla Marinaud. Thank you for joining us.
The Diamondbacks avoided a sweep yesterday against the Giants by picking up a huge 11-2 win.
That's right, but a loss would have eliminated the Snakes, but they still need some additional help to clinch that final wildcard spot. The Braves and Mets are playing a doubleheader today after Hurricane Helene postponed 2 of their games this week. The Braves, Mets, and Diamondbacks all entered Monday tied for the final 2 wildcard spots. The Diamondbacks need either team to sweep the doubleheader today to advance to the postseason.
The Braves and the Mets both own the head-to-head tiebreaker over the D-backs. If New York and Atlanta split the doubleheader, the D-backs are out of a playoff spot.
Game 1 of the doubleheader was an instant classic. The game saw 3 lead changes in the final 2 innings. Francisco Lindor launched a go-ahead 2-run home run in the top of the 9th, which served as the difference maker. The Diamondbacks now need a Mets win in Game 2 in order to clinch a playoff spot for the 2nd consecutive season.
Yes, it's getting tight in those races. The Diamondbacks are spending their Monday watching a doubleheader like everyone else. Cronkite News reporter Stella Ty was at Chase Field this weekend, where she talked to players about their potential playoff elimination.
The Arizona Diamondbacks missed the chance to punch the postseason ticket on their own after dropping the first 2 games against the San Diego Padres. Unfortunately, the dominant 11-2 victory on their regular season finale still wasn't enough. Now the D-backs' fate is in the hands of the Mets and the Braves.
We'll be glued to the TV. It's an interesting dynamic with because the Braves and Mets got rained out last week, and those are the 2 teams we're competing against. So,
despite leading the league in the offense since the All-Star break, the D-backs took their foot off the gas at the wrong timing. They faltered down the road, losing 5 of their last 7 games, squandering an opportunity for a team that was built for another deep playoff run.
I mean, it's definitely been kind of a rocky last couple weeks. I think we played, pretty much flawless baseball up until early September, and then we've kind of had some games here and there that haven't gone the way we wanted to.
Ironically, having a postseason berth hanging the balance is not new to Arizona, as they're facing a similar situation to last year, but they secured a wildcard spot on the second to last day of the season after finishing with 4 straight losses.
We scuffled at the end of the year last year. We played the Astros and we got swept here at home, but we had some help and we were able to get in. But just knowing that you've gone through it before, having that experience always helps. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen again.
The run we had last year, we'll draw from that experience knowing we're not out until we're out.
All the D-backs can do now is wait. In Phoenix, Stella Tai, Cronkite News.
Yes, Kayla, I'll tell you one thing. The Diamondbacks roster has now turned into the Mets' #1 fan this afternoon.
That's right, and if the Mets pull off the win, the D-backs fans will be happy as they will head to Milwaukee in the wild card round.
Absolutely. The Arizona Cardinals saw some familiar faces yesterday in their matchup against the Washington Commanders.
And that's right. The Cardinals found themselves facing off against former ASU quarterback Jaden Daniels and former Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury. It was a successful homecoming game for the 2nd overall pick in this year's draft. Daniels and the Commanders' offense found the end zone 5 times. It was a miserable day for the Cardinals all around. The Commanders defeated the Cardinals 42-14, dropping the Cardinals' record to 1-3. Here are the stats shown from both quarterbacks. Daniels had another spectacular game, throwing for 233 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Kyler Murray threw for 142 yards and a touchdown. Here's Arizona Cardinals tight end Elijah Higgins on the team's recent struggles.
I think JG does a phenomenal job of rallying the guys together, saying what needs to be said. then I think the guys feel the responsibility to take it upon themselves, look themselves in the mirror, and do what we need to get done. And I have full confidence in the team. I think we have more than enough guys, if not everybody on the team, to get the job done, to make those small increment improvements, individual by individual.
Yesterday's game was the third straight home game for the Cardinals. While fans left disappointed, there was plenty to celebrate before kickoff. As our Ryan Pasesnik tells us, the Cardinals have the least expensive tailgating prices in the NFL.
With football season back in full force, it's a great time for fans to come together outside the stadium and continue a tradition unlike any other: tailgating.
We tailgate every game. It's been about 8 years of tailgating. We've been season ticket holders for about 14 years. All these folks here were neighbors at one time, great friends, and we've just come together.
Tailgating around State Farm Stadium provides fans with an opportunity to enjoy a pregame football festivity, all for an affordable price.
Tailgating is so much fun. It's just amazing to get to see everyone. Different teams, people come together. You have a little rivalry here and there, but it's been friendly.
According to Oddspedia, the Arizona Cardinals have the cheapest pricing for tailgating in the NFL, with an average cost of $158 for a group of 4. That is less than $50 compared to the NFL's average, with costs including groceries and parking. The team with the highest pricing in the NFL for tailgating is the Cardinals' NFC West division rival, the San Francisco 49ers, with an average cost of nearly $300. That makes tailgating here at State Farm Stadium a bargain deal.
This is an experience that most people don't experience. Other teams and other fans of other teams, they know.
While tailgating at State Farm Stadium is primarily home to Arizona Cardinals fans, it also features fans from other teams as well. But despite that, it is a great opportunity for fans to come together in the name of football.
True tailgates, bring together a lot of camaraderie with friends and family.
The tailgating experience at State Farm Stadium is your perfect go-to pregame celebration. It is the perfect blend of football, fun, food, and family. So why don't you make your way down here? In Glendale, Ryan Pasesnik.
That's amazing. It looks like those Cardinals fans are having a ton of fun out there. The Cardinals hit the road for 2 straight weeks. They play the 49ers in San Francisco next.
Now on to college football. It was a huge upset win for Arizona football this weekend as they went on the road and took down the 10th-ranked Utah Utes. The Wildcats struck first in the matchup and never surrendered their lead. With a big day from their defense, the Wildcats took down the Utes by a final score of 23-10. Arizona's defense forced a pair of interceptions and stopped Utah's offense 4 times on 4th down. The Wildcats host Texas Tech this week, while the Utes' next game isn't until October 11th, when they travel to Tempe to face the one and only Sun Devils.
That's right. And coming up next, it's media day for the Phoenix Suns.
With just a few weeks to go until the regular season begins, the Suns are back in the spotlight. And ASU basketball is back on the hardwood as Bobby Hurley looks to a fresh start with new players and a new conference.
Plus, we're ending September with record hot temperatures. So how is the first week of October looking? Your weather report is coming up next.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut.
How students can build their broadcast journalism portfolio with opportunities to learn more about on-air reporting and studio production.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram @thecut_network and on X @cutASU.
3, 2, 1. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Kill the mics.
Or go out in the field and cover important local stories.
To learn and master the English language.
In a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Cronkite News. The future starts now.
The Phoenix Suns are starting training camp this coming Monday after an offseason of under-the-radar moves. The Suns are hoping that these moves put them deep in the mix in the Western Conference.
Head coach Mike Budenholzer and 2 new point guards, there's a lot of expectations that these new additions are going to help take the offense to another level.
I think what it'll do is give our guys a little comfort and a little more trust in the offense and the ball movement. We want to shoot more threes. We want the ball to pop. We want the ball to move. Skill set that the 2 of them possess is unique, and uniquely for our team, it's going to make us special.
Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are coming off an Olympics gold medal run with Team USA. The Suns are hoping that the Stars can build off of it in the regular season.
Let's go for it. Let's get Devin Booker to go from gold medalist to NBA Finals, and I think the international play can be a springboard to a great season. Being around a lot of international players, it's I think really good for those guys, and obviously the American guys.
We feel like we have the talent. We feel like we have the coaching staff. We feel like we have, all the pieces to get to where we're trying to go.
This is the second full season of the Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal Big Three. And with financial questions looming and Kevin Durant entering his age 36 season, there's a lot of pressure for this Phoenix Suns team to win it all this year. In Phoenix, Wilder Adams, Cronkite News.
We will get to see the new Suns additions in action for the first time on October 6th in their preseason opener against the Los Angeles Lakers.
And on the college hardwood, Arizona State men's basketball has undergone big transformations on and off the court. With ASU joining the Big 12, several new faces are set to don the maroon and gold. Cronkite sports reporter Marco Radici-Moras has more on how the roster overhaul could impact the team's performance this season.
A new season of ASU basketball brings a fresh set of expectations. After a disappointing final year in the Pac-12, head coach Bobby Hurley is hoping the influx of new players will lead to a stronger season for the Sun Devils.
We weren't pleased with our results last year, that's for sure. And I know Adam Miller, wants to go back to the NCAA tournament. It's things we talked about with how we're going to reconstruct the roster and give ourselves the best chance to do that.
As the team undergoes changes on and off the court, there's a renewed focus on establishing a fresh identity. One of the few returners, Adam Miller, is relishing the leadership role for the largely new squad.
Be Adam Miller and also set the tone of what we're going to do here. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of had to rebrand that culture a little bit, with new guys on the coaching staff, new guys on the floor.
The college basketball season is fast approaching, with Arizona State set to begin their season in just over a month. With only 4 returning players, it prompts the question, how might the roster turnover impact the team's chemistry?
Just knowing the upside of the potential of the group, and it's just, again, a matter of them adapting to a new way of doing things.
With an influx of fresh talent, adjusting to a new philosophy can often be challenging. Yet for ASU players, one thing remains constant: the trust they have in their head coach.
Well, he's a player's coach. He talks to you, lets you do, what he feels comfortable you're doing. So he doesn't put you in bad positions. So, I think everybody's adjusted well. I don't think anybody's had any problems.
With a largely revamped roster, expectations are high for Sun Devil hoops. ASU's 2024 recruiting class is ranked 7th nationally by 24/7 Sports, but only time will tell if the players meet that potential. In Tempe, I'm Marco Radici-Moras for Cronkite News.
If you want to catch them in action, Arizona State will play an exhibition game against Duke on October 27th before they officially tip off their season.
That's right. They look pretty good this season, and the Sun Devils start the year hosting Idaho State November 5th. Now to the record-breaking heat. It was a hot one on Saturday as Phoenix experienced a blazing 117 degrees, which marked the hottest day in September ever recorded.
Wow. Now let's look at what we can expect this week. Sienna Monet joins us now from the Cronkite Weather Center.
For this evening, we are going to be seeing some triple-digit numbers at 6 p.m. So on your commute home, it's going to be about 103. And then going to the rest of the evening, we're going to be sitting at about 97 at 9 p.m. and then 94 at 10 p.m. And looking at our low temperatures across the state, we're going to be seeing those fall cool temperatures, especially up north. It's going to be 64 in Page, 47 in Flagstaff, and then 43 up at the Grand Canyon. And then down in Tucson, it's going to be a nice 74. And then we're going to be in the 80s here in the valley, which is really nice to see. It's going to be 84 here in Phoenix. And for our high temperatures, we're still going to be in those triple-digit numbers across part of the state, with 112 here in Phoenix, 112 in Bullhead City, and also 86 up at the Grand Canyon, 95 in Page, and then down in Tucson, we're still going to be in the 100s with 104 degrees. Going into our 8-day cast, we are going to be seeing some high temperatures with an excessive heat warning going through all the way until Friday. We have a high of 109 on Friday with a low of 79, which is above average than what we've been seeing in years past. And then going into the rest of your weekend, we're also going to have a high of 109 on Saturday with a low of 79. And going into your work week next week, we're still going to be in the 100s with 108 on Monday and then 106 on Tuesday. So hopefully we're going to be experiencing those fall temperatures on the way. I'm Sienna Monet with the Cronkite Weather Center. Back to you.
I'm Kendall Flynn with a preview of tonight's news headlines. Coming up after the break, the latest from Hurricane Helene and the effort to help people still affected by the storm. Find out why rescuers have resorted to using mules to deliver supplies next.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut.
How students can build their broadcast journalism portfolio with opportunities to learn more about on-air reporting and studio production.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at @thecut_network and on X @CutASU.
3, 2, 1. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Kill the mics.
Or go out in the field and cover important local stories.
We learn and master the English language
in a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Cronkite News. The future starts now.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Kendall Flynn with your news headlines. There are just 35 days to go before the election, and the border will be a big issue for many voters. Macy Markham in Washington tells us more about a proposition on the ballot to put Arizona police on the front lines of immigration enforcement.
Illegal entry into the United States is already a federal crime. If voters in Arizona approve Proposition 314, state and local police could detain anyone suspected of being in the country illegally. Critics are calling the bill a show me your papers law and warn that U.S. citizens could get caught in the dragnet too, especially if they have a foreign accent or brown skin. But State Senator John Kavanaugh says Border Patrol needs help.
The federal government does not appear to be capable of controlling entries, illegal entries between ports of entry. They are overwhelmed with people who are trying to enter illegally and by people claiming asylum who have bogus asylum claims.
Asylum claims peaked last year at 248,000. Roughly 80% of those asylum seekers were allowed to stay in the U.S., though conservatives like Kavanaugh say most of these claims don't meet the legal threshold for asylum, and he rejects the idea that Prop 314 would lead to racial profiling. Saul Ruscon Salazar grew up in Arizona after his family came from Mexico before he started kindergarten. Now with Aliento, a group that advocates for undocumented immigrants, he says Prop 314 would create a divide.
it would plant the seed for fear to go to the grocery store, as simple as that sounds, which then trickles down to people not feeling safe, people not feeling a trust with the community, whether that's police officers, first responders, and like in the medical field.
Salazar says police are already stretched thin, and adding immigration enforcement will only make it worse. Proposition 314 is modeled after a similar law in Texas, SB 4. That law has caused strained diplomatic relations with Mexico and is on hold pending a ruling from a federal appeals court. City councils in Dallas and Austin have condemned the law, and Austin says they won't enforce it. Arizona tried something similar back in 2010, a controversial law known as Senate Bill 1070 that was ultimately blocked in the courts. In Washington, Macy Markham, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Macy. The nonpartisan Grand Canyon Institute projects that the enforcement of Proposition 314 could cost Arizona taxpayers $325 million a year. As the election nears, Clean Elections Commission is aiming to inform voters on everything they need to know about voting. They held a voter education art exhibit at the Arizona State Fair to encourage people to register to vote and learn more about the upcoming election. According to the Secretary of State's office, voter turnout is about 80% of registered voters, and the Clean Elections Commission says participating in local elections really matters.
I think the argument can be made that sometimes it's even more critical to vote in those elections than perhaps the ones that are at a higher level, because they impact your home directly, your daily life.
Robert says the fair functions as a good opportunity due to the influx of so many people from across the state gathering in one location. Meanwhile, Vice President Harris visited Douglas, Arizona to meet with Border Patrol agents late last week. She also spoke about her immigration policies at a campaign event and called for immigration reform for asylum seekers.
While we understand that many people are desperate to migrate to the United States, our system must be orderly and secure, and that is my goal.
In the meantime, vice presidential nominees Governor Tim Walz and Senator J.D. Vance are set to square off tomorrow night for their first and only debate. Also, another Arizona Republican announced their endorsement for Harris on Sunday. Former Arizona Senator Jeff Flake, a conservative Republican and longtime Trump critic, crossed the party line to endorse the vice president. Flake says he wants to support a candidate who reflects the will of the voters. And one of the top reasons for Flake's endorsement is foreign policy, highlighting Harris's support for the backing of U.S. allies, tariffs, and immigration reform. Ryan Ruth, the man accused of attempting to assassinate former President Trump, pleaded not guilty this morning. Ruth is facing 5 charges, which include attempted assassination, gun charges, and assaulting a police officer. The former president held a campaign rally in Erie, Pennsylvania yesterday, where he said he will head to Butler, Pennsylvania next week, the site of the first assassination attempt in July.
Back to Butler. You're going to be there. We're going back. We have a lot of people coming, and I really believe that will be the safest place on earth.
There are now 120 confirmed deaths from Hurricane Helene across 6 states. Rains brought by Helene left many people stranded or homeless, and in North Carolina alone, at least 47 people are dead. Roads in Asheville, North Carolina are now either washed away from the severe flooding or blocked by mudslides. To bring aid into Asheville and other mountain towns in the area, groups started to work with mules to help deliver supplies along with airlifts and trucks. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper predicts the death toll will continue to rise due to the failed infrastructure and flooding. Despite the losses they have suffered, residents in the community are now working together to assist those in need. That's it for tonight's news headlines. I'm Kendall Flynn. Back to DeAndre and Kayla at the desk.
Coming up next, the Earth will have a new companion.
A mini-moon will be joining the Earth's orbit. We'll have more on what scientists are saying about this mini-moon after the break and just how close it will come to planet Earth.
Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
The Earth will soon have some company.
A newly discovered asteroid is joining the Earth's orbit. Scientists are calling it a mini-moon. This mini-moon is about 30 feet, which is equal to the size of a school bus. The asteroid will be joining the Earth's orbit Sunday and will stay for about 2 months. And not to worry, the asteroid is more than 2.5 million miles away and is not in danger of colliding with Earth.
That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm DeAndre Sanders.
And I'm Kayla Marinaw. Thank you for joining us.